If you're a Plug Power shareholder or thinking about picking up shares of the hydrogen company, the SEC might have just given you a good reason to maybe think twice about doing it. I'm Jason Hall. This is The Smattering. I've got Tyler Crow here with me. We're going to talk about what just happened between Plug Power and the SEC and why it could be a bad omen going forward. But before we do that, I just want to tip the hat to the Motley Fool who sponsors our videos. If you're looking for even more great stock ideas than we're going to give you in this video, check out our special link, fool.com/The Smattering. The Fool's going to give you its 10 best stocks to buy right now. Be sure to check that out when you're finished with this video. Hey, Tyler, what's going on with Plug Power and the SEC? Tell us what happened.
So if you remember a couple years back, the company announced in one fell swoop that it had to 3 years worth of financials. It said it uncovered issues with the way it was reporting revenue and had to restate revenue for the past 3 years. The SEC investigated and just recently they settled. It was a $1.2 million fine, but basically a little slap on the wrist here. But here's where, to me, this isn't just like it's over, we can all move on with our lives sort of thing, because in the settlement, the SEC, there were still, and I quote, material weaknesses in its internal controls over financial reporting and ineffective disclosure controls, which is basically like saying, in less than as many words, like you can't 100% necessarily trust what's happening in its financial statements right now. And if it doesn't see improvements on that within 1 year, there are going to be more fines, about $5 million could be fined next time around. So this isn't an end deal. This is an ongoing thing. And, internal reporting and disclosure controls, those things, we as investors, we rely on the numbers that are presented to us on a quarterly basis to be the basis of how we want to value companies. And if the SEC is telling us, hey guys, these might not necessarily be 100% correct, I think investors, especially people who want to hold a company for a very long time, should really take pause as to whether or not they actually want to own this company.
I want to go back, Tyler, a little bit to exactly what happened, because honestly, there's some things about it that just really strike me as being highly concerning. So it was in March of 2021 when the company announced that it was going to have to restate its financials, and the stock took a huge hit. That was actually relatively close to its high. Now, here's the thing about it. The company did a secondary stock offering about 6 weeks before that, maybe 2 months before it announced it was having to restate all of its financials. So it did this huge secondary offering. It did the secondary, I believe, early February. And then a month and a half after that, it's having to restate its financials. So the reason I think this is really important is the company leveraged a high stock price to raise a ton of money and then had to restate all of its financials, right? And it's taken, again, working with the SEC and the SEC's investigation, we're talking 2.5 years at this point to work through it. And the SEC is still saying, we're not convinced that you fixed the problem. And we're giving you a year. And here's the thing, Tyler, it's the same people running the company that were running it when all of this happened. Andy Marsh is still the CEO, co-founder CEO, still running the show. And I think investors should be very cautious when thinking about a company that had to restate all of its financials. 2.5 years later, the SEC is still not convinced that everything's fixed. Most importantly, here's the big one. All of that to be said, Tyler, has Plug Power ever had a profitable year? And this is a 20-year-old company. This isn't a Johnny-come-lately. This isn't a company that's been around 5 or 10 years. This is a company that's been around for a very long time. I want to caution investors. They're really good at telling a great story and instilling hope in this future of hydrogen. I believe in that. I believe hydrogen is going to increasingly become a part of the energy future. The question that I continue to have, with a vast lack of any evidence to challenge it, is if Plug Power is going to be a profitable, value creative for the owners of the company, shareholders out there, part of that ecosystem. I think investors need to heed the SEC's warning and just be really cautious about this one.